nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Joining me tonight, pulling double duty this week, is Rafa, Mr. High School Soccer guru at this point here. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Long day of presentations, and they have another one at 9 o'clock. But then I was out late. I got to see the doubleheader at Comalander. I have a lot to say.
And we'll get to that quickly here. Royce, opening days tomorrow is what you told me pregame. You're wearing your Cardinals shirt. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Feeling
the
pretty
Rockies
good.
Are paying you still?
Feeling pretty good. The terrible part is the high temperature for opening day in Cincinnati, where the Cardinals are playing at. It's going to be 39 tomorrow for opening day. So
that's nice. Yeah,
that is. I'm glad I'm not there, but I'm also happy baseball's back.
Yeah, it'll be good to have them back. And they're doing a full season this year, right? Any expanded playoffs or anything like that this year, or no?
I don't know. I know it was in the talks, so they may have done something like that. I do know, part of the good news, the St. Louis Cardinals are over 85% vaccinated, the team and the travel party.
Nice.
So really happy about that. It's always a good thing when everybody's getting vaccinated, for sure.
And the big St. Louis news today, maybe you can talk about this. St. Louis City's new sponsor and primary sponsor is going to be Purina. So that sounds pretty exciting. I wonder if they'll do Checkers just because of the Purina brand. But I thought that was a pretty good branding, and I guess they're very local, especially in the Midwest there.
Yeah, their headquarters is in St. Louis. If you ever drive through St. Louis, you'll see their big building right in the middle.
So we're going to start out with Rafa and do just kind of quick overviews with high school real quick here, because unfortunately the playoffs are fast and furious. Play a round, a day or two off, play another round, day or two off, and I think what this weekend is the regional regional semifinals, and then
quarterfinals.
Pardon me?
Quarterfinals.
Oh, regional quarterfinals. And then next week is the semifinals and the actual state playoffs. So we're planning on doing next Wednesday with Coach Canu Coach Canu and the guys from Lethal. I'm drawing the blank on their last name. I apologize. But a show kind of breaking down, the final, what would be the regional finals at that point, and then the high school playoffs. Was it Final Four? I think is what it'll be broken down into.
Well, like the Elite Eight.
The Elite Eight
for statewide. So the Final Four for the regions.
There's so many rounds on this. It's crazy.
As long as you win 7 games, you win the trophy.
Texas is a big state.
Well, it's 2 64-team brackets, then down per 4A, 5A, 6A. So that just tells you how many number of teams that there is here. So, but Rafa, we're going to start with we're going to flip the script on you here and talk 6A boys to start off with here at the top of the bracket. You had Keller Central, so that looks to be a pretty good matchup there. Rockwall, Heath versus Duncanville for that here. Allen and Prosper will be matching up. Klein Forest and Langham Creek Byron Nelson, Eastlake, El Paso, Eastlake. That should be a very interesting one. Lake Ridge versus Shashe, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced it. Dallas Jesuit, Boyd, MacArthur, Bridgeland. So out of the top half regions, was that one and two? Any surprises on there?
Killer Central. I mean, you knock off LD Bell, then you knock off Coronado. If I'm Killer High, I better watch out for them. I don't know what I know. They're in the same. I'm sure they're in the same district. I don't know what type of record they have, but I'm sure Keller's a district champ.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it's gonna be, it's gonna be a great game, and I'm sure Keller Central's riding high. I mean, don't count Central out. I think they can pull off the upset, but I'll give the edge to Keller because they've been playing great the last few games.
Allen Prosper, you think that'll be set up as a classic? I know Prosper kicked off Scott's Koppel team and convincing win over Purse.
Capel.
Not from Texas.
I think that's going to be a great game. Great game. I'll give the edge to Allen, but I don't know, something with Prosper. Like I said, not when you get to the regional quarterfinals, there's no gimmies. It can go. You're there for a reason. It can go either. It can go either way. But I'm surprised with Eastlake from El Paso. Congrats to them. They're don't
took
look
out South Lake Carroll, yeah.
Yeah, they flat out took out South Lake Carroll. They took them to the woodshed. Byron Nelson better beware because I think Eastlake's onto something, and hopefully they'll be the first team from El Paso as I think at 6A to make it to the state Final Four.
So moving to our side here, we'll do Region 3 first. Tompkins beat Cy-Fair in another upset for them. Seven Lakes 1-2-0. Humble, Channelview took out your team that you had going through, Straight Jesuit.
Sorry, I'm having some flashbacks here. I have lived right down the road from Seven Lakes, and Tompkins is right there, and I am a graduate of Humble High School. Weird. Continue, Texas.
So, but Channelville, squeaked out a 4-3 win in PKs. Seco Ranch, Jersey Village, both advanced. Alif Elsick and North Shore both went through. So we'll start at the bottom of the bracket and then work up to the top to the game that you saw here. So Harlan was able to get through a Harlingen South 3-1, and was that Laredo United, I believe? Pardon me?
Yeah, Laredo United.
Got past Edinburgh 3-0. So you had picked Harlan to advance out, through here. So you still got them, or does
it'll be a close game. But if you watch the tape, man, I think one of their players, the Harlan player, was some golazos from like 40, 35 yards out. I mean, if Real Madrid's looking for a defender for free kicks, sign him up because he reminds me of Roberto Carlos on those shots. So props to him. Hopefully ESPN shows his highlights because he does deserve it. But I'm going to give the edge to Harlan on that game. I don't know where that game's going to be played at. It might be in Corpus Christi unless they flip home and home. But I'll give the Harlan the edge. But don't count United. United has a great program. They have great players. They played a just as tough a schedule as Harlan, so it's going to be a real good matchup.
So New Braunfels fell 2-1 to Round Rock Westwood. Lake Travis rolled over Smithson Valley 6-0. For that here, forgot to highlight them in green. But it seems like this is the Lake Travis Invitational cruise right now for that here. This bracket we need lots of help on. Alexander beat Los Fresnos, and the team that you had picked to go through as Warriors Lincoln fell down 3-0 to Del Rio. So thoughts on this section?
Well, I know that someone from Los Fresnos questioned me about how are we going to lose and this and that.
Well, that's how.
that you're out. So I mean, Alexander, they're a good team. I've seen them on tape play a few times. They have some talent. And actually, one of my former club players is on that team. I think he's a senior. He's a senior this year. The surprise is Lincoln Juarez. I think in the Valley they had high hopes for them as far as being probably the 6A team that was probably going to go through to maybe to the regional semifinals. But I mean, give credit to Del Rio. It was, I think, 0-0 at the half. So good credit to them on the big win. But, Del Rio does have they've beaten Alexander twice. But like I mentioned, it's going to be tough to beat a team 3 times. And that game, I'm not sure where they're going to play that. I have a good guess. It could be an Eagle Pass because it'll be like a halfway, so like a neutral site game. So I think that game could be there. But the winner of that game gets the pleasure to play the big game of the week on Friday night.
So Lee got the revenge against Vandergrift, and Clemens had a solid win 2-0 over Bowie, Austin Bowie here. So sets up the game. I've already seen this one's going to be at Comelander for here, so not at Toyota Field like we were hoping. But it's going to be at Comelander, and like I said here, so the scene is set. Number 1, number 2, and the Rafa rankings, and really probably the 2 class teams, in the San Antonio, and I guess you could probably say Austin area at this point.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you something about Lee last night. I know they lost to Vandergrift the first time around 4-0. They may have been, I think, have a lot, not have some players for that game, but they just flat out took Vandergrift out to the backyard and pummeled them. Vandergrift couldn't really do anything. Any little pass, Lee intercepted it. They probably had close to at least 70% of the ball possession. And they were all on the Vandergrift side, and you can tell Vandergrift just was running out of gas. They just could not hold him. And then, it was an even game as far as kind of in the beginning, but then they just flexed their muscle, and then finally they broke through. The one thing a little concerned, that goal they give up, that was off a mistake, a defensive mistake. And that's from, when Vandergrift did kind of press. I don't know why Vandergrift wanted to park the bus with Lee. You cannot do that with them. You got to play your game. And I think they went in too cautious for this. I think they were hoping to see if they get him on a counterattack and then defend. You cannot do that with Lee. But when you pressure them, you have opportunities. And that's when they did get that goal. But when it was 2-1, Lee stepped up. They had 2 marvelous goals to pretty much seal the deal. And so props to them. And like I said, this is going to be probably one of the biggest games, I think, probably in San Antonio high school soccer history. These 2 top state ranked and nationally ranked teams, to play. Shame they're not playing at Toyota because, that would have been the ideal place. But, hey, 6 p.m. at Comelander, well, it'll be even better. So you have nothing to do on Friday, go check out the game. And the winner of that game, hey, they gets to play the winner of from the other game between Alexander and
Friday,
Del Rio.
I have a feeling that the stands are going to be packed a little bit for that here. So moving over to the ladies, the 6A ladies here. Byron Nelson won Keller, advanced past San Angelo Central 1-0. Belton won 6-5 over Duncanville and PK's. Sashke. Lake Ridge won 10-0. Klein Kane won in PK's over College Park. Hebron beat Martin for that here, Tomball Memorial. Mansfield got the victory over Rockwall. South Lake Carroll beat your team Odessa Permian 5-0 for that here. I know Coach Connor was talking about this matchup here, Flower Mound versus Prosper, being one to watch, and then Tomball and the Woodlands on the other side here. Coming down to our area, hate to say it, Reagan, from all reports, got beat up and term we've already used, took out to the woodshed, losing 6-1. And Johnson also got beat 2-1 for it. In fact, the only team that's still in is Brennan, as far as for the San Antonio schools. 4 over Harlingen and Edinburgh Vela knocked out Taft 4-3 here for that here. So, thoughts on the ladies? It looks like for our side, for San Antonio.
Yeah.
Austin, we may have got the advantage of them on the boys' side, but on the girls' side, it was Austin, and from the sounds of it, it wasn't even close.
Yeah, well, the game started out good for Reagan. They had a PK, which they could have taken the lead, but just seeing the forward take the PK, it seems she was not very comfortable or not very confident, and she just really shanked that, not shanked it out of the park. I mean, just wasn't much of an effort shot. And that changed the whole perspective of the game. And then from there, Vandegrift just took over. They out-muscled them. They out-hustled them the whole game. And you can tell there was a big discrepancy. My concern was, like I said, and we talked about this a little bit. The club soccer does make a difference as far as, some of these teams. It looks like there's a big gap between the Austin girls soccer and the San Antonio girls soccer. It's one of the high schools. That's a little concerning there. And, how do we close that gap? That's, hopefully the coaches kind of learn from all this, get more prepared for these games. Because hopefully next year, I think hopefully these teams learn from this. And then that way we can have someone from San Antonio represent us, in a state tournament. But kudos to, like I said, Johnson. They had a tough game with Westwood, just falling down to 1-0. Down in the bottom bracket, Brennan actually got some little text messages from one of the coaches, from one of the parents that I know. It was tied at 0-0. I think the biggest factor was the win there at Callan Stadium. But Brennan turned it up in the second half, got 4 goals, and now they're advancing. They're the only San Antonio team left. Taft actually had a lead versus Vela, and they gave up that lead. They're up 3-2 or 3-1, and Vela just roared back and took over. So I think that game was played in Corpus as well. I'm not too sure. I think the wind was a factor down in the valley for some of those games. So going to that game, I think I'm going to give Brennan the edge over Vela. It'll be close, but I think Brennan will pull through. And then Vandegrift, Westwood, I'm going to give the edge to Vandegrift. I know Westwood's a good team as well, but I'm going to give it to Vandegrift. Just real near perfect team as far as touching the ball and so forth. And shooting, I mean, they had one girl that scored a brace, tiny little thing, but she was just running circles around the Reagan defense and just pinpointing good shots in.
So moving to the 5A girls here, really no huge surprises, it seems like here. Coronado, Amarillo, Wakeland, Reedy, Forney beat Jacksonville for that here. Centennial, Cooley, Longville beat Joshua 8-7 on PK, so the exact opposite of Donna North and O'Connor, where these guys were plugging them in left and right. Wiley, I got past El Paso, Monterey, Flower Mound, Wiley East, pretty convincing win. Grapevine, the one upset, I guess, is Wichita Falls Rider getting past Mansfield Timberview. Highland Park, Midlothian, both of those are 2 good teams. Then we come down to kind of our area here. You had Cedar Park take out Southwest 7-0. You had Bernie Champion take out Floresville 11-0. You had Veterans Memorial take out
McAllen
Memorial 2-1, and then McAllen took out Victoria West 7-1. And then on the other side, Manville, Foster, Magnolia, and I guess the big upset was Austin Anderson coming out over Kingwood Park. Looking at the Twitter reaction, I guess that was probably the biggest upset in 5A in recent history. So thoughts, I guess mainly up here at the top of the bracket, Cedar Park, obviously, Claire, Bernie Champion 11-0. So lots of games, lots of goals scored. At the 5A, is this an opportunity for San Antonio area to get back over Austin, or you think Cedar Park's on a roll?
I think this game with Bernie Champion, it's going to be close. But you got to give props. I think as far as opponents, Cedar Park played a tougher opponent than Forestville, than Bernie Champion did. It's going to come down to who, like I said, who can take the tempo, control the game, and then just keep a lead. That's the big thing. I think Bernie can pull this off, but Cedar Park's on the roll, so they're flexing their muscle. I mean, to knock off Alamo Heights at Alamo Heights, and then what they did at Southwest. What they did at Southwest, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. But like I said, I think the Bernie girls, I think they're up for the challenge, and I think they can pull out a win.
And then kind of moving down to our area for 5A. On the boys, Southwest got past Eastview on PKs 4-3. Cedar Park, took out Lanier 4-0. Brownsville Veterans Memorial got past Flower Buff. Valley View got past Rio Grande Zaddy 4-2. So Southwest is still alive for that here. Dripping Springs 5-1 over Jefferson. Leander over Edison. And then at the bottom, Porter and Cherryland had pretty convincing wins, with Cherryland with a 5-0 win over Corpus Christi Ray for that here. So thoughts on the bottom half of Region 4 of the 5A boys bracket?
Well, for Dripping Springs, I don't think anybody's going to touch them until that regional semifinal. I don't think Leander – I'm not saying they don't have a chance. They
don't have a chance.
Yeah, they just. I mean, they'll make it competitive, but Dripping Springs will take care of business. Now, the interesting game down there is Cherryland and Porter. That's going to be that's probably one of the Valley Classics there. I'm going to give the edge to Porter. They took out Victoria East, who was a district champ, and that same district with Ray. So I think I think that game's playing in Mercedes, believe it or not. So I'm going to give the edge to Porter on that game. So a Porter versus Dripping Springs matchup that's going to be a very good game. And then Dripping Springs will be challenged by Brownsville Porter. The other half of the bracket, you have Brownsville Veterans Memorial and Valley View. That's another big Valley Classic game there. But I'm going to give the edge to Valley View. I think they'll be close. I can see this game go to overtime. Maybe PKs, but I think Valley View will pull this off. Southwest got by the trap game. I think that was a trap game for them with Eastview. Eastview took them to PKs, but now they have another test, and they have Cedar Park lined up, and Cedar Park has taken out already two quality teams. But this game is going to be at Southwest, so we'll have the home field advantage, the fans, but Southwest has to jump on Cedar Park early on to win this game. If Cedar Park gets a lead, it might be difficult for them to try to come back and win that game.
So transitioning to San Antonio here, they brought in a new player on loan by the name of Jasser Kamiri, 6'4". For that here comes on loan from Vancouver Whitecaps. He's 23. And I'm going to throw this to Royce here. Can go into a little bit with him, but him being from Tunisia, getting some national team caps for that here. Thoughts on them finally adding that third center back? And
finally, good Lord, come on!
Finally, and he is tall.
I told you from the beginning, be patient. This is what's going to happen. Is that they're going to wait to find players on loan. They're going to try to find players that are out of contract, that are at the MLS level, and they're going to get them, and that's exactly what this is. From what I've heard, mainly from Manny Vates with Trinframock, is that Kamiri was looking for a loan or to be sold back to Tunisia. I guess he wanted to go. Who knows what the plan was, but that's what I heard through the rumor mill. But apparently the SAFC loan deal became available, and he jumped at it, which, I mean, we're excited to have him. He's a 6'4" center back with a lot of MLS experience, an international player in Tunisia, and one of the big, more physical, rough and tumble tournaments every few years is the African Cup of Nations. It is insane. I don't know if you've ever watched it. I highly suggest going and following, is it Sandals for Goalposts is their Twitter handle, but it's a solid follow, and they go through and they analyze all of the African Cup of Nations games. It's insane, and it's just nuts. Soccer is on, I mean, soccer's a whole other level in Latin America. It's a whole other level in Africa as well. So but him playing in those games, he's got some experience with that, and that's exciting. That is that just means he's really strong mentally, and we always need that. That is a Alan Marcina trait, is mental strength. So,
and according to Jonathan Siegel, of MLSsoccer.com, one of the big concerns that we have is players being called back. It does seem like Vancouver, as far as for center backs, is well stocked, because they mentioned that they've got Derek Cornelius, Eric Gotti, Ranko Bolasincic, and Gianfranco Facchinieri is a homegrown who's looking to prove, as well as Anthony Rose. So there's 5 center backs that they've listed that they still have on the roster. So most likely, and I think this goes into where you mentioned that he was looking to kind of find a way out, because it didn't seem like he was going to be getting much minutes up in Vancouver. So for those that thinking Colin Montgomery last year for the playoffs, barring major injuries in Vancouver.
That's the big thing you don't know about. We got St. Clair on loan, and it was, dude, he's like the fourth string. Right? There's 3 guys that are hurt. Yeah. Oh, okay, let's put in. We got to call him back. It's just one of those things you never know. I'm pretty confident Vancouver still goes with 4 in the back, so they only need 2 at a time. So, and 2 of those guys, like you said, are academy players trying to prove themselves. So, once again, you never know, but at the same rate, this looks like the ideal situation for SAFC. You get a top talent, you get a physical center back, and somebody who's super mentally tough, who has a lot of experience, who's going to stay with the team the entire season. Perfect.
So the other big SAFC – go ahead, Rafa, sorry.
Like I said, make sure we light some candles so that way they don't get hurt.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, let me go light my Selena and my Jesus candle.
So in other SAFC news, they played FC Dallas that was streamed, although they took down the stream. It was a tie 0-0. However, they lost in PKs 4-3. My initial thoughts – pardon me?
Oh, no, it was 4-3. You're right. I thought it was 5-4, but 2 were safe. You're right. Keep going. Sorry.
My initial thoughts, number one, the academy kids played in the second half, the youngest being possibly 14. For that here, there was 8 that came on, and it didn't seem like they were overmatched from the FC Dallas team. And to be fair, they had kind of subbed out. But for me, you could tell it was preseason, because the finishing touch was, in my opinion, still a little bit lacking. Your thoughts on the game there, Rafa, before we go into week 2 of the starting lineup, trying to pick and piece out of that with the Royce's whiteboard when he comes back.
That it was a good showing for that game. They stayed toe to toe with FC Dallas. Pretty much, I think, close to like maybe 70, 75 minutes before made the substitutes, before most of those academy players came in. So that's a good showing. I'm sure Marcina's still experimenting with what the possible starting 11 is going to be for May 1st. So a good confidence, but I think we do need some of the academy players do need to work on the PKs. So need to work on that. Not be nervous. But hey, yeah, those are some growing pains. You'll learn from that. But even like I said, even the academy players, they did a good job.
They held their own. You didn't really see a drop down in talent. From that here, even when I was talking about the finishing was lacking, and that was more that and I think neither team obviously scored, and there were a few opportunities, but just the linking, the linking from from the midfield to the forwards, still working on, and that's why you have these games. It's preseason. That's probably why they don't like showing these here. Is for us saying, oh, hey, amateur, podcasts are here saying, hey, it looked like the finishing was lacking, but obviously it is. It's week 2 preseason.
Yep.
So, but hey, I can't. If we're gonna go on the air, you got to have some positives. Like I said, to me, the positive was the academy kids, with the youngest possibly being 14-ish. Depending on when his birthday is. For that here. And then with Royce back here, the starting lineup looked very similar to last week with some changes, but I think the back four, Cardone, Bryant, Schulberg, Doyle, PC, Torres, Lindley, Lima, Epps, Dillon, and Patino. So, Royce, your initial thoughts on the game and then the lineup.
So, the game was a very preseason game. Dallas ran out a 3-4-3. We countered with a flat 4-4-2, but it was a very pressing 4-4-2, which you don't normally see that much. Normally 4-4-2 is, bunker and counter, kind of like remember in 2017, Powell implemented a flat 4-4-2 or a 4-3-2-1. It was very much that. This was very much a pressing formation, which is interesting. And I think it was a preseason formation, 4-4-2, super simple. You have super simple instructions. There's not a lot of moving parts. There's not a lot of triangles to go. It's more just go forward. The two midfielders are there. And you had Lima and Lindley. Those are your two defensive midfielders. I guess we can do this instead of we'll bring out the board. So you had Lima and Lindley here in the middle, and they were just kind of defensive. You had a lot of interplay between the wings here. Ethan Bryant got up a lot across. Ethan Bryant's service was fantastic. Just the issue was you had you had the other Twin Towers up top. The only issue was that FC Dallas had 3 center backs, so you got 3 versus 2. You kind of got outnumbered on that one. And then PC and Epps. PC didn't get us forward as much, but Epps got forward a lot and helped out the front two. So you had PC kind of out by himself defending out here. But that's kind of what PC does, and that's how PC got the normal PC yellow card.
It was earned.
Oh no, it was a professional foul. It was definitely, but at the same rate, PC got left alone, but that's what he's there for. I guess I'll bring it up. In 2019, Powell's last year, when he went to the back three and nobody was covering that back left, where PC stopped that guy from countering, there would have been nobody there, and it would just been an open invitation. So now you have that. But like we're saying, this is a preseason formation. I don't think this is what it's going to be, but obviously we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. But a 0-0 result against an MLS team is, that's a good result. They ran their new players out. FC Dallas has some pretty expensive signings. They got forward, but they really didn't do anything in that's my dog, sorry. Didn't really get anything done in the final third, which is all that's what matters is the midfield battle. Now that SAFC really held their own.
Now they're going to be playing FC Dallas, I think Friday, right? If memory serves me correct, this Friday here.
I think so, yeah.
And up in Frisco here. I doubt it's going to be, streamed. At least no words on if it will be. You think it'd probably be a very similar match, Rafa, than what was down here, or you think there'll be a few changes?
There'll be more experimenting. That's what preseason is about. Is experimenting what's out there as far as who fits what. Can they, maybe try out maybe Ethan Bryan in the midfield, or hey, let's put PC in the defensive mid, or whoever was on the bench. Let's see what they do up top. So that's what I see. That's what these games for, because Marcina needs to evaluate who is going to be my starting 11 May 1st, who's going to be my rotation players as well. Coming into this upcoming season. So I'm not too worried about winning's good for this because you do want to win the Copita and all that, but it's more like, hey, what are we going to do to get ready for May 1st to take care of Colorado? That's what I think he's focused on. And then also, we're waiting to see, if Gallegos comes back, we got to see how he works with this new lineup, and also our new if he does come back, and also our new our defender out there, see their center back. So he's going to do a lot, like I said, a lot of good things. But what I saw Saturday was promising. I think this might be a little more talented bunch than we had last year. I think he saw that from what happened last year. We did have some injuries, and they did cost us, especially in the midfield. It cost us, to really get some momentum into the playoffs. So I think he recognizes that. So like I said, I see just good things coming from him as far as getting this team ready to go on May 1st.
So my two final thoughts on here, and I'll toss it to Royce, and then Rafa, if you want to clean up, you can. Dan Weiss, the broadcaster, mentioned that Maloney's hurt, so that's why he hasn't been seen. And then number 88, they did confirm, is Chris Tierpak, as we discussed here, trying out for the team. You could see he kind of paused, and I'm assuming Preston and Luis said, "Yeah, it's okay," to say who he is, because you could just see the pause. 88. Yeah,
looks familiar. Yeah,
it looks familiar. But so my question to you, Royce. Hopefully, it's not a serious injury to Maloney, but Tierpak with the lineups that we have, because last year San Antonio FC did not really use the wingers. Does obviously most likely depth, but could you see a spot for him, staying on with San Antonio?
Right. So my guess. So let's erase this because, like we said, pretty sure that's going to be more preseason. But I think the back line is going to remain the same. I really do think that. I think we are going to go with the back four, and Marcina is going to implement what I said earlier with bringing that extra center back that was there. Yep, that's a terrible thing. I need to just put it in front of my chest. I think we are going to have an extra midfielder here instead of just the two. I think we are going to have the three. So I think you're going to see we'll see if we get a left back. I think it's going to be PC there. I think you're going to have Lindley on one of these. And you're going to have Epps on one of these. So you're going to have the three, and then you're going to have three up top. So it's going to be either a 4-2-3-1 diamond, or I'm sorry, a 4-4-2 diamond, or a 4-3-3 is how this is going to set up basically. And the three is where Tierpak would show up. So as the 10 right now, you're going to have Emil, and then you're right now you have Patino's over here, and then you're going to have Justin Dillon over here. Most likely what I think is if we need to snatch a goal, I think most likely Justin's going to come off, and this is going to be the Chris Tierpak go try stuff position. And the same thing, I mean, Tierpak one-on-one is always really good at dribbling. That's what we need him to do, just go one-on-one, make stuff happen. Interplay with Epps. I think the same thing is going to happen if Gallegos comes back. I think that's going to be his position, is going to be that left-sided forward because he's going to be super isolated, and that's what you want with Gallegos. I mean, whenever he got crowded out and he got pressed, that's kind of when you saw everything just kind of fall apart, and the same thing happened with Pirano. You had him each side. All everybody did was defend the wings. You had kind of a weak defense in the middle, and then, I mean, and then people just bypassed the midfield, and that kind of got us in trouble. So if you just get one of those guys solo, you get a strong midfield that takes care of a lot of the problems, and Gallegos one-on-one is sauce. The sauce.
Any thoughts on tier pack, Rafa?
Good pickup. I mean, it's his experience. Yeah, I'm sure he's familiar with the Martinez system. Just a good insurance policy.
Yeah, assuming we sign him exactly, which hopefully.
But I think more likely we will. I mean, he's going to help out a lot. It's also kind of mentor some of the younger players too. You know, we'll see how he does the second go around with the SAFC, but I think he'll do some good things coming off. He's a change of pace. You can say that when he comes in, coming in off the bench. So I do see some good things coming up. But I'm just kind of wondering: are we going to stick to the flat back four, or are we going to go back to that Bermuda Triangle defense?
Are we going to do the back three? Yeah.
So that's also my concern, to see what direction the Marcina goes, or he's just making sure to be flexible, especially I guess learning from that New Mexico game. If he has to adapt to a different style, and they can take care of business.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next topic here, and as much as I hate to say it, I have to give it to Seriously Loco here. They said rough week for SAFC, relegated in Copa Teos and eliminated from the USOC Open Cup, all without playing a match for that here. So for those that haven't heard, this was a statement from Tim Holt, SAFC Managing Director. From the SAFC communication team. San Antonio FC was informed that it would no longer be a participant in the 2021 U.S. Open Cup due to U.S. Soccer's decision to further condense the number of rounds and teams competing. So, of course, they did the political. We respect U.S. Soccer's decision with health and safety as the continued priority, and we're always thrilled to play in the historic Open Cup and look forward to once again taking part in the future. So, I'll start with you, Royce. I gave my 2 cents last couple of nights here, a little bit on here, and then I was on Protagonist Soccer's Weekly and gave a little bit more. So, my thoughts are out there, and I'll chime in, I'm sure, a little bit here just because I can't keep my mouth shut on this topic. But and then we'll go to Rafa. So, your thoughts on the Open Cup saying May 4th we can't play, but we're still going to review it for May 18th, and then cutting, half of the lower division teams.
So we all know that the S in MLS is just a dollar sign, right?
I don't think MLS had an issue with it because they don't. MLS this wouldn't have affected MLS at this point because it would have still been the same teams. Now you could argue you're eliminating 4.
Did you see how MLS is qualifying their teams though? It's
that's
whoever has a hot start, whoever has their crap together, that's who's going. It's not.
It's not. We're top 8 or with the 3 best records after 3 games.
It's just whoever's hot, so we want to have our best chance of winning because we can't have a lower league team go to the Champions League. That's pretty much all that was.
That's a joke.
It's a joke.
I don't see how they play it.
And it's the first round. It's a round. It's the first round that MLS has nothing to do with. Like what? Why not play the dang games? I mean, a lot of these teams are getting vaccinated. If that really is the worry with COVID,
which it's not, I'll say it's not.
It can't be.
All the leagues are playing. I went through it last night. NISA plays mid-April. We kick off. There's some teams that's kicking off end of April, 1st of May.
We just got done with the whole half of the show where high school soccer's going.
High school soccer.
All
the leagues over in Europe have been able to run their teams. We just did a CONCACAF under 23 tournament, in Mexico. Rafa, your thoughts?
It just shows how bad United States Soccer Federation is.
USS.
Yeah, USFS or US $sign F. Yeah, that's a big F right there. They're a joke. They should have just played this. I don't know what they're scared of. Like I said, we had a U23 tournament down in Mexico. We have European.
The Dallas Cup's playing up in Dallas right now.
Dallas Cup's playing, yeah. We have that going on. It's just a load of crap. That's why we can't take USF serious because, one, they can't get into the Olympics. They can't even get into the World Cup, and now this is like, I think it's a setback. It's a shame that SAFC can't be it because I think we would have shined pretty good. Now we're gonna win it.
Exactly. But the thing is, at least it's the competition. It's competing in it, and even if we would have been one of those top 4 teams, I still would have been pretty ticked off about it. And it's not the USL level. The USL level is not what this competition is about. It is about those amateurs that go out there and they got large bids. That's the thing that that's the thing that ticks me off the worst. It's about them. I mean, the biggest news in the nation a few years ago in May, mainly because baseball was getting boring and there's not a lot of stuff happening in May, was that one club in the was it the Maryland? They went and they played
Maryland Bobcats. Yeah, there's one team each year that makes a run.
Exactly, and it's always exciting, and it's the same magic that the NCAA tournament brings, and that Cinderella team that goes and the Oral Roberts basically of this season with men's college basketball. It's always that one team that goes, and we're not going to get that. It's just going to be. I mean, even the at-large teams are just going to be randomly drawn. Like what is that? It's just disappointing.
But it's funny because they're also playing the CONCACAF Champions League, and they have MLS teams on there too. I'm like, what's the difference? You just have our teams on there. Honestly, I wish the USL, and I mentioned this to Harry in the past, I think USL needs to have their own cup. Yeah. That way, they have the domestic cup champion versus the league champion play like a champion, like a campeón de campeones type of deal. That'll make it fun for us because I think USL on their own, it's just a more fun league than the whole BS with MLS. They just a bunch of prima donnas that the $sign rules them. Here's more about the players, about the fans, and about showcasing great soccer. And then we look for our club. Our club, we have players now playing in Europe, or we had a couple who have already gone to Europe. So I think that, like I said, it's a mistake by them. But like I said, USL, if they're watching or anything, honestly, I think they should get your own cup and do your own thing. We don't need the Open Cup. We can be just fine doing our own thing.
Yeah.
So let's end on something positive. Let's talk about the schedule. Finally was released. We all knew. Pardon me?
Is that Behind the Stripes is back?
Behind the Stripes is back. They had an episode. Hey, I didn't knock it. I listened to it.
Great. It was great.
May 1st, they start out with the Switchbacks, then Real Monarchs, away at RGV, then home against Birmingham Legion, Mikey Lopez, and Zachary Haravel as of today.
Harry just got signed by them.
By making a return, and then home against RGV. So to me, the May schedule very home loaded, or very very much loaded at home. Obviously, 4 out of 5. In my opinion, Birmingham Legion is probably going to be the toughest match, but it's here. RGV is still kind of putting together their teams. We thought our preseason was bad. I think they've only got 3 preseason games scheduled. For it here, so I think they're going to be a little bit behind the.
They did. I will say congratulations to RGVFC. They did sign their first academy player.
First academy player, yes.
That's awesome. That's really good to see.
So, thoughts on the first month there, Rafa?
I guess a road trip to the Valley on the 15th, right?
I'm down.
So I'm down. Like I said, we ruined their party when when they first opened up HEB Park. I'm sure we can do it again.
3-1 last year.
But I'm looking forward. I think the fun part, I guess, overall, is playing some of those teams that we normally don't get to play, like the Birmingham game, the Red Bulls.
Yeah, so the out of
Pittsburgh will be in town, but that's in the future. Right now, we're focusing on May.
But focus now. But like I said, it's that. But that'll be like I said. That's I think that caught my interest was seeing some of those non-division games. But to have one right away, you know, in the homes, I guess we have the first 4 games out of the 5 in May, you know, and to have that should be a fun game. And then I see June. I guess that's vacation
June's
time right there.
June's going to be the away month. So at Colorado Springs at their new stadium, at Las Vegas, at New Mexico United on a freaking Wednesday, home against RGV, and then at Real Monarchs here. So I don't understand why New Mexico and El Paso games are all on Wednesdays. 6 out of the 8 of them are on Wednesdays, but you know, for that here. So at Colorado Springs is a new stadium. The lights is really going to be LAFC 2. New Mexico United will be tough, you know, for that here. RGV here, and then at Real Monarchs, which has the beautiful background for them here. But, you know, from my understanding, they're still going with a younger version, and at this point, they don't have a owner. So they're I believe they're league owned at this point, I guess you could say, for that here, or MLS owned at this point, not USL league owned for that here. So thoughts on June, Royce?
That's kind of a murderer's row there, isn't it? I mean, just staying in the it's not the Midwest, even though geographically speaking it's Midwest, but staying around the Rockies for nearly the entire month and going back home real quick and then going right back out to the Rockies. That's tough.
Nice and cool.
That's a lot of elevation.
Yes.
Real Monarchs, switchbacks. Vegas is very dry. It's going to be tough. Just with the weather. I mean, New Mexico's the desert. That's dry. It's just going to be tough. And then coming back with the humidity and then go right back out to the dry. That's gonna be a really rough stretch, June, for sure.
So coming back in July, we get our first Austin Bold on the 3rd of July. So I'm assuming that'll be a firework night. At Colorado Springs for the second trip up to them already. New Mexico, if you look at the time, 8:30. Just, you know, I would be willing to bet that's going to be an ESPN, ESPN game, just based on it's a different time frame. We get El Paso the following Wednesday, and then the following Saturday we have a home game against Austin Bold up in Austin. So we get Austin twice. We get the 2 Wednesday night games at home, which is kind of odd. Thoughts on that, Rafa?
I just don't know why we're playing Wednesday night. I just don't get it. I wish you guys would explain that. You know, unless it has to do with the minor league baseball team schedules.
The 2 on Wednesday, the 21st and 28th, are here at Toyota Field, so it's no baseball related.
I think what it has to do with is that there are more games than weeks this upcoming season because they're having to compress it, and I think that's the issue. I real quick, not to cut you off, Rafa, I'll let you jump on it. I have 2 points to make in July. Number one, there is a 2-week gap between the 3rd and the 17th between the Austin. And that's either going to be a friendly game or that's just going to be, hey, we get 2 weeks off, let's recover. We'll see what happens there. And number two, road trip to Austin for my birthday on the 31st. Let's go.
Down.
So road trip and overnight stay, or road trip and come back?
I don't know if I can pull it off.
Overnight, we can say overnight there in Buda.
So in August, we got El Paso on a Wednesday, home against away against RGV that Saturday. the first away trip out of conference to Red Bulls 2, home against Real Monarchs and home against El Paso. So I know the Red Bulls 2 kind of stand out as far as two teams that are historically one of the better teams for that here. And, as far as for an away game, if you wanted to make a trip to New York for the weekend, probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Not a terrible idea. And the return of Chris Lima to Red Bulls too. That's cool.
Who wants to take this one?
I'll take this one.
Rafa, that's all you. All you.
Yeah, I guess take this one. This will probably be one of the toughest months because look at but it's a good test to see. Red Bulls 2's been one of the premier teams for USL in the Eastern Conference. So this is a great test. If we can pull out a win, it's going to be a great confidence booster for the team to say, hey, well, we can handle anybody coming out from the East. So it's another Wednesday game at El Paso, which we can head over there. Another road trip to the Valley on that weekend. And like I said, then we're back with Salt Lake and then another game with El Paso.
That's 3 away games in 1 week. Bold, Locomotive, New York Red Bulls 2.
Do you consider the Bold really an away game? Because it's really not. They dress in their locker room here. They take the bus up to their, a couple hours early, and they sit in the locker room. So it's not like going to RGV where it's a 4.5 hour bus ride back. It's an hour bus ride.
To be fair, El Paso is an hour flight, so. Well, not an hour.
But they stay overnight. They stay overnight. They won't be staying overnight.
Point taken. But still, that's a lot of away games in a week. In a week, that's the thing. It's a lot of travel in a week, and then the next week you're flying out to New York. It's just, you start in Austin, and then you go to El Paso, and then you go to the Valley, the triangle of the Marfa Lights. But I think that's rough in 1 week to do. That'll be, depending on what their record is, I think right there on August 7th, that's kind of how we know what this team and what this team has. That's kind of the midway point of the season. That's also kind of once again a murderer's row, a really bad stretch. That's kind of where on August 7th you're going to know what this team is going to be capable of.
So September, we get the Riverhounds here, who I'm excited to see.
That's cool.
You get at the Bold on a Tuesday. You get at Salt Lake, at Sacramento again there, and then home against New Mexico United. For that here. For September, it seems like you're seeing very consistently 5 games in a month for that here. So to me, this one, I think is the big road trip where you got Austin on that Tuesday, after a short week of playing a tough Lily Ball Pittsburgh Riverhounds. And then you got to fly out to Salt Lake, and then you get I'm wondering if they'll stay out there. They'll probably fly back because it's, another Saturday game against Sac Republic, which will be one of the top teams in the Pacific. For that here before they face New Mexico. So thoughts on this one here, Rafa? I know you're excited about seeing the out of division. So you get Pittsburgh and Sacramento, which is out of the Mountain Conference.
Yeah, that's some good tests right there. Like I said, with back to back with Sacramento and New Mexico. But I'm looking forward to seeing Pittsburgh. Like I said, another team that normally we won't get to play. So that should be fun. Another road trip to Austin. But even I think that's a Tuesday night. Well,
Tuesday, yeah.
Tuesday. Well, I might have to schedule a campus visit over there on this night.
Pittsburgh's Pittsburgh's been one of the best teams in the East. That's going to be a very, very tough.
They have lost a lot of talent this year, but the coach that they have always seems to magically, he's got a system.
Yeah, former coach from Rochester, and when they were good, I know his name starts with an L, but it is just
Bob Lilly.
Bob Lilly, thank you, Bob Lilly ball. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Just like the
I'm excited to
Cowboys,
watch
Bob
it.
Lilly.
So then it comes to October, and I think you just got to say, wow.
Good Lord.
7 matches.
Good Lord.
The only good thing is out of the last 5, 4 of them are at home. They go to Oklahoma City, which I hate to say this, have been trash in the preseason. But like I said, we'll see. Preseason's preseason.
And we always have a tough time in the season
At Taft.
with OKC at Taft. We never.
It's a Sunday night game at the high school field. Then they go to El Paso, home against Memphis, which they're just now putting together a team. They're on the RGV schedule. They still don't have a coach, although they had an interim coach last year, but they haven't got around to officially naming him.
Tim Howard should just coach.
Tim Howard probably volunteer.
He's too busy with NBC. Tulsa, who we saw last year, is a much improved Tulsa team, and they've only gotten better. Away at New Mexico, and then home against the Bold and home against the Switchbacks. Was it 2 years ago we finished home against the Switchbacks? All we needed was, So we open with the Switchbacks, we end with the Switchbacks, but October,
those wounds.
7 matches in October. So we'll start with you, Rafa. Since you're coach, conditioning, depth, all of that's going to come into play. The only good thing is historically in October, it's not 100 degrees. That's the only bright spot that I can see playing this many matches in with October.
Unless we have an El Nino or something to keep the temperatures up, but that schedule, those 7 games are favorable. Minus, I guess, the away game at El Paso and New Mexico. That New Mexico game could be the one for our division champ.
I don't think
for the division.
I don't think New Mexico is going to be in it, and the reason why, they're out of conference. They get Charleston Battery, Loudoun, Oakland Roots, and Hartford. Those are at home. But Charleston Valley is a solid team. The Roots, I think, are going to be a solid team, and Hartford won the East last year over the Riverhounds. Away, just comparing their out of conference to ours away, they go to Tacoma, which, probably a gimme, but, depending, depending on if MLS wants
we've
to
also
bring
lost. We have lost going on. So,
but the last 3 are the key: at Phoenix Rising, at Louisville, at San Diego. So they're way out of conference.
damn.
Is a dam compared to our out of conference for here, and it's not even close.
I thought playing Riverhounds was going to be rough. Oh my goodness.
That could make the difference.
It's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
How many games do they play in October though?
I don't know how many they're playing in October, but
Yeah. I
don't think they'd be favored at Phoenix. They won't be favored at Louisville, and they won't be favored at San Diego.
Nope. That's crazy, man. Good Lord. Man.
So
I guess them getting that handball advantage in the playoffs is really coming back to bite them in the butt with the scheduling, huh?
I see them maybe getting a draw at San Diego, but a loss at Louisville and a loss at Phoenix. I think that's a guarantee there.
And El Paso is the other one that I think is probably a contender with us. They get Indy 11 at home, Vegas, OKC, Sacramento, so they kind of get some of the same teams we do. Sporting Kansas City, Orange County, Tulsa, and Los Dos. So I think their away schedule, their away schedule, their out of conference schedule is probably very similar, to ours, for that here. But to me, when I looked at New Mexico's, and the home games aren't easy, but the away games are a bitch.
Yeah.
There's no way.
They're
New
at
Mexico
least
and Phoenix
staying in the
hate
same
each other.
region, but they're at least staying in the same region, but still, I mean, that's rough, man. That really is rough.
I mean, I did see one that had Miami going to RGV.
Yes.
Billy Forbes coming back to Texas. How
No,
about that?
RGV goes to. So Austin has Charlotte Independence, who thankfully will have eight. Well, they're up for sale. Dan D'Amico's out.
Yep.
Tacoma comes here or comes to Austin. Miami, Billy Forbes comes back to Austin Bold. Energy, and then they go to Pittsburgh, which is not easy. They go to Birmingham, which is not easy. They go to Oakland Roots, which we got to see what they are. They're a new team.
Yep.
And they go to Tulsa. So their aways are tough. RGVs, they get San Diego at home, Tulsa at home, Loudoun, Atlanta 2, away at Miami, away at OC, away at Rising, and away at Oklahoma City. So
that's tough too.
Yep.
When I looked at compared to our out of conference compared to the rest of the divisions,
I don't feel that bad about it anymore.
it's we'll take Pittsburgh and Birmingham. It's not so bad. But geez.
Yikes.
I think the one true test from the West out of conference is just Sacramento. That's basically it. And we've won at Sacramento a couple times, even though
they're always close games.
They're always really close games, and it comes down to some fluky play, typically.
Or some bad refereeing. It's
fluky plays. I mean, that's all encompassed in the USL fluky. Well, I guess
I was just hoping that we play maybe like
pro.
I was hoping we play maybe San Diego or Oakland, since we haven't played but hopefully maybe next year where everything comes back to normal. But I think we lucked out as far as some of the tougher teams.
But to answer your question, New Mexico in October, at Louisville City on the 3rd, home against Hartford on the 6th, home against RGV on the 9th, at San Diego Loyal on the 17th, which is right before us coming in on the 20th. Then they go 23rd, to RGV, and then home against Real Monarchs. So they got 7 games in October as well.
Man, at this rate, we need a lot of midseason signings to just take care of October. That's a crazy stretch. I see some academy. I mean, it depends. Like I said, it depends on where we're at. Depends on the standings, how close the race is. Man, that's 7 games in October is rough. That's super rough. But we'll see how it goes, man.
Maybe we'll get Pirano on loan if he doesn't play over there in Portugal.
That wouldn't be the worst. Well, I mean, they'll be out of season, so maybe he comes back mid-season. We'll see. I mean,
everybody must have, because even El Paso is very October heavy. October 2nd against Colorado Springs is the Wednesday. The 6th against San Antonio. The 9th at Tulsa, home against Colorado Springs, at Los Dos, home against the Bold, home against OK Energy, and away at El Paso. So the schedule seems for October seems to be very backloaded. So
yeah,
I think
that's a lot of games. That was kind of a simple. That was not that too terrible of a schedule for sure.
But to me, like I said, you're looking at that. I think El Paso and New Mexico, I think are the two tough teams, because I think Memphis, I don't think will be that tough.
We'll see, but not lining up to be.
But and then it's going to depend who's still playing and who's not playing.
We'll see. We'll see what team they field, because they could be a lot better or they could be a lot worse. They had a lot of roster turnover. So,
and I think playing 4 out of the last 5 at home is a huge advantage, to
not bad,
especially if you're needing points.
Not bad, yeah, not bad.
But the key, you got, our good friends Kyle Menke about, hey, don't worry about the start. This year, having 4 at 5 at home, you better be putting up some pegs on the board, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, that start, we should be at least. Those are 5 winnable games there, and then also with maybe a tie at Colorado, maybe a win at, we could go in at 6-1 before we go into the New Mexico game.
By the way, why'd you have to sideswipe my guy Kyle? Come on.
Dude, I want to reach out to him and Aaron and have them on as kind of an old Pitch Black reunion. One of these shows here because, like I said here, they were awesome back in the day, especially when SAFC was getting started out, and then with Larry as well. Popping on with I forget the name of the shows that they had after that. So, but we've gone along a little bit over an hour. I know Rafa's got some work to get to here. So, final thoughts. We'll start with you, Rafa.
Final thoughts, like I said, big. Like I said, if you have nothing to do on Good Friday, at Colma Stadium, 6 p.m. Probably the biggest game of the year that we've had in a while for high school soccer, Lee versus Clemens. I think whoever wins that game is probably going to end up winning the region, so it's going to be an instant classic. And then also final thoughts. Shout out to North Macedonia for knocking off Germany.
Dude, how did that Timo
Werner?
How does he miss that goal?
Timo Werner has been.
Chelsea has him, right?
Yeah, he's with
Chelsea.
That's been his MO. Is he'll miss a sitter on you, but he'll do a lot of work. He runs hard, but he will miss a sitter on you. And Yugi Löw, I mean, had a wonderful 2014 World Cup, but dude, that dude stayed.
I know he's stepping down. After the Euros? Does he get fired after this?
He needs a big reason he needs to go now is because the players that won the World Cup in 2014 for no reason they're still playing. They're still at the top of their game, i.e. Thomas Müller. He doesn't want to play them, and those are still your best players. He's trying to. He's overthinking the simplest thing in the world. Oh yeah, Thomas Müller just be in the midfield and be good. Like how easy is that? Kimmich and Müller are always in the midfield together. They're fantastic together, and you're not gonna stupid. It's dumb. I don't know what's wrong with them. You need to get them out of there.
Scott, that's right. I need to make sure I bug Scott a little bit this evening.
Yeah, that's awful. I'm half German. I support the German team, but it's been rough. But it's been pretty obvious why it's rough is because you're not playing your best players and you're playing in weird formations that do not suit you at all. And you're trying to depend on guys like Leroy Sané that haven't been in form since he got hurt like 2 years ago. That ain't it, bro. That ain't it.
And also shout out to the Mexico U23s for winning the CONCACAF and going to the Olympics. So shout out to them.
No idea what you're talking about. That's weird.
Yeah, what was this? I don't remember anything.
I don't know.
I don't know. Some local team
happened south of the RGV. Anything that happened south of the RGV probably doesn't matter.
I think some local team couldn't get into the Olympics this year. So.
Oh, we didn't try, right? That's the excuse for U.S. soccer's going.
I mean, we took a couple of kids and we took an MLS rejected coach. I don't think we really figured that much, to be fair. All of our U23s beat the crap out of Jamaica and Northern Ireland, so I think we're doing all right. We're doing all right.
So my final thought, like I said here, it has to do with, just continue to be safe. We're starting to come out of it. I know the CDC is saying, hey, we could possibly be heading for another spike. So please wear a mask. Please wash your hands. Even if you get the vaccination, I know the mask, by now you should be comfortable with the mask. It's been a year, for the hair. It's not necessarily just for you. It's for everybody else. Yep. If you can get vaccinated, please do so. Let's
open to all adults, and Pfizer very soon is going to be open to 12 and above. Right now, Pfizer's open to 16 and older. They have come out with a study that shows that it is good for 12 and older, and that will be happening very soon. So,
and the state came out with a website that you can register because, I've been trying to register on the site here in San Antonio. Couldn't do it, but through the state, you can go through register through there, and then if there's an opening, they'll send you a text message or email. So, which is what we did today here is getting set up on that. So, but just be safe, be smart. Don't we're not we're getting out of the woods, but we're not all the way out yet. So let's not fumble it at the goal line and get a penalty at the end.
Don't miss the Timo Werner sitter. Yep.
Jesus Christ! Well, that was almost as bad as the U.S. kid that all he had to do was hit it in with his left foot, and he tried to knock it in with his right foot and just shanked it all together. So
that Jonathan Lewis,
yeah. All he had to do was just if he would have went with the foot that it was two.
They were set up. I mean, to be fair, they were set up poorly. They had a specific instruction.
I'm not blaming him. I'm not blaming Ochoa for his for the error that he did that allowed the second goal. It was just unlucky.
What it was that the players were not set up properly, and the coach threw the players under the bus because in the exit interview, the coach said two things that bother me. Jason Christ, he said, number one, in this business, you lose more than you win. No, dude, that's what you say when you lose. That's what you say. And number two,
and how did
these players? I don't get it. That they weren't paying attention. They had passes go under their feet. They just had a poor performance. It's like, no, dude, you set them up poorly. You set them up trying to attack on the wings, and you had Honduras who was strong in the middle. And when you went up on the wings, you didn't have anybody to cross it to because your one forward is 4'9" or 5'9", Jesus Ferreira, and he's helping out a lot in the midfield. So you had no one to cross it to. Why are you trying to cross it if you don't have anybody up there? What? To quote the great Taylor Twellman, what are we doing? Yeah.
Who paid for his A license? That's what I want to know. And how did he pass it as well?
I don't know. I think Jason Christ is what everybody was afraid that Berhalter was, but Berhalter at least has something going for him. So,
but the senior team looked good against Northern Ireland. That's all I know. And I think how'd Mexico senior team do against Wales?
Just 1-0 loss, no biggie.
Oh, what was that? Oh, you took the L.
What was that?
1-0 loss.
Wow.
That was a loss.
To a team that the senior team tied. Oh.
Wow.
Oh, but we did beat Costa Rica. We beat Costa Rica, which U.S. always has trouble with. I don't know, but Tata Martino, I can say it with him. He's not really too concerned with what he's looking for is like as far as what he's going to set up for the Gold Cup. I think that was probably his second loss as a coach. So for the Mexican national team. And then the one thing, the big factor, which I did see missing, is Raul Jimenez. Hopefully he'll be back from that head injury.
I hope he comes back. That was,
that guy's just a beast.
That's the goalie, right? The goalie.
No, forward.
Jimenez is the forward. He's a striker, and he plays for Wolverhampton. And he got kicked in the face. And
cheap shot by David Luce or whatever.
Yeah.
By Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, Sideshow Bob. Yeah, David Luis, right?
Yeah.
That was concussions are not a joke. And I hope he comes. That's one of those things that sometimes you just can't shake it. But I really hope he does, because that kid's very talented, and he's exciting to watch for sure. And that would be a shame if he was still hurt.
All right, well, we're out of here. What's Life Without Goals? Like I said, this is the second show for the week here. Do appreciate, Rafa, and all your time. Next week, I think you and I got double duty again. Monday, we'll come back, do more of the SAFC side, maybe a little bit of the high school, because I think there's one more round this weekend. Kind of touch base on that. And then, we'll go heavy with the state playoffs final as they wrap up next week for that here. With Coach Hector Cano and the guys from Lethal Enforcer.
Lethal Enforcer.
A little thank you. Yeah, and a thank you to Coach Cano for having me on his 50-50 podcast this past weekend. I think I might be back on Saturday. Right? Yeah, I think it already came out. I think we were going to do another possibly Saturday to do a little follow up on what happened for this coming week, and then talk about little preview of what's going to go on with the following week.
And thank you to Jesus Armordez and Aaron Reet for messages, as well as with Coach Cano as well. But what's life without goals? And hope everybody has a great rest of the week.